Steve Evans, I missed last week, so we'll just recap on that. I have seen the decision for the penalty. I believe you were a little bit annoyed at the time again.
Yeah, listen, congratulations to the Charlton supporters and the two Charlton players that run around the referee. That's what got the penalty. Of course, we've had a normal email from the Football League to say it's, in their words, it's not a penalty. In real time, it doesn't look a penalty. If anything, Dan Butler fouls Pierre Gianni. They sort of half collide, if you like, but there's no penalty. What I would say is that Charlton should have had a penalty 15 minutes before. So, you know, if you're a complete neutral, you probably go out the stadium saying, well, they didn't get one they should have got, and they got one they shouldn't have got. But the bottom line is, they shouldn't have had that penalty, and we'd have won the game. But that's gone now. We acknowledge the people at the Football League looking at it. We acknowledge the fact that they come back to us with real integrity. So there's no question about the referee's integrity. It's just he's called it wrong. He's a young referee. He's come up for his first year. He'll make mistakes. It's just a shame it came so late in such a big game. And he made one earlier. So, you know, I think over the balance of the play, perhaps in review, a point shared is probably fair.
Well, I was going. I mean, Charlton, we said last week, Charlton are a huge club, and it's no shame to go toe-to-toe with them and come out both years.
Yeah, you know, I spoke to Michael post-game, and I spoke to one or two people that's more senior on the board on Monday, just for catch-up about general life, not specifically about the game. But, you know, I said to them on Monday what I said to them 2 weeks ago, as I was entertaining Charlton in a league fixture at a Lamex. It's wonderful for us, because whatever level Charlton's playing, we're very proud to be playing at that level. So we know how testing this league is. You can see the big clashes we've had recently. Portsmouth at home, another giant. Charlton at home, another giant. So it's you know, every week we're around those teams, we're competing levelly with those teams or level with those teams. There's a credit to that dressing room, because they've been tremendous since the start of the season. And we'll moan and we'll groan and we'll be picking fault and things even on Saturday, etc. You know, but the bottom line, they've had the most wonderful 17 months. But that mission of upward trajectory shouldn't stop now. It should be continuing.
And how is the squad? Been plenty of niggly injuries, and we've been hoping that they're going to be back soon.
Yeah, listen, some of the boys have been on the training ground all week. You know, whether they need another week for us to be sure, they are. Some of the boys we played Wimbledon here in a closed door game. Our first team's players who were available to play or get extra minutes played in the first 60 minutes, in which we were well controlled. And in the last 30 minutes, we used it so we could have a look at our youth team players against a strong Wimbledon side. And Johnny Jackson was here and his first team staff. So we did a cup of coffee and a good bit of banter post game, if you like. But that was good, because I'll get minutes in the tank to players that are coming back and players that need it. So we're very close to having, you know, some big players back for us. You know, Van Kooten, you know, Wilden, you know, Presley. You know, are they ready for Saturday? We'll determine that post-training tomorrow.
I've got to move on to Charlton. Cheltenham. They were at Peterborough Tuesday night. I'm guessing one of you, so if not you, were there to see them?
Yeah, myself and Paul went, to be fair. And the game's false after 3.5 minutes on the clock, when for me it's a very harsh red card given to a Cheltenham player for a high foot. Posh lad's going down low. I think it looks worse, if you like, when you see blood, you know, and the player was cut on his head. So, and it did take about 10 minutes for Posh to get that player back on the pitch. So it's obviously quite severe in terms of the cut, but it didn't look anything near a red card. I sat next to the EFL match assessor who said to be yellow stroke orange, which means it's at the referee's discretion. He's a really good referee, Scott Oldham. I thought he was really impressive the other night. I've thought every time I've seen Scott, but I think maybe he could have managed that with a yellow. And very early in the game, I know a referee said it doesn't matter if it's 30 seconds in or 80 minutes in, it just looked one of them that he could have managed the situation. But listen, he decided to give a red corner. I don't think Cheltenham will have any recourse.
And you know, when you're Cheltenham and you've only got 1 point from 8 games, it's not what you want. It's just going to make them doubly determined come Saturday.
Yeah, I think the first half was really interesting. I think both teams had really good chances. Cheltenham went into a different shape. Obviously, Wade Elliott's gone last couple of days, and we don't want any manager to lose his job. He's gone, but Rooster, Kevin Russell, he's assistant. We know Kevin well. He's taken over. He done a lot of the organisation, the shape when they went down to 10 men. They made the changes. And they're really efficient first half. But it was one of those occasions you think, well, if Posh get a goal, this could be 2 or 3, and because they started then to get on top of the game. I think the extra man counted. They got the goal, and then from when they got the goal, it was a case of what would the final score line be. So a dominant Posh performance. Cheltenham have got really good players for their level. They just looked a little bit short in confidence, which you see is from the 1 point, but obviously the board have made a difficult decision, because I know Wade was very highly thought of in the boardroom down there. And even I was very fortunate to be in the boardroom at Posh, and before the game they were very pro Wade. So it's really difficult when a manager loses his job. And for one manager who's lost his job before to another, it's get yourself away, go on holiday for a couple of weeks, come back refreshed and take on a new challenge. Our challenge is Cheltenham on Saturday.
And how do you approach that challenge? Because there is going to be a reaction from them, and you're going to have to be steely determined.
Yeah, I think there's always a reaction. I think the players will have a fresh voice, if you like, in the training ground, totally taking in control of the session. And Kevin, the players will have a freshness and desire to win a game. No team ever wants to play a team when they've just lost a manager, because they tend to get refreshed, and we've seen it. You see it Charlton and different people that change the managers. But listen, we for the team shape in our mind, going to the game the other night, we couldn't really change our thoughts, because the game became false with the 10 men versus what would be relevant. But we've probably still seen enough in 3 or 4 minutes of play just to realise what they were trying to do and what they would have been trying to do over the 90. So our game plan is already in place. The personnel is what we'll decide in the next 24 hours.
And I'll just hark back to last season, and when you played teams at the bottom, you didn't always get the best results. I'm thinking Gillingham away, where I was a draw, Hartlepool away, Rochdale away, which I'm still annoyed about. But you're going to have to make sure that when it comes to 90 minutes, you're going to close this one.
I think if you look at the games, I looked at a full rerun of the game last week at Cheltenham. Away at Exeter, Cheltenham away at Exeter, and Exeter won by the odd goal, 1-0. It was game on for long spells. So there's not a lot wrong with that Cheltenham squad. There's not a lot wrong with that team, other than they're on the back end of a decision or on the back end of a result. But we need to go there and work as hard as we possibly can and try and remain on the short tails of the league leaders. Because I was told by a Posh supporter the other night that we'd gone to 5th in the table, and was I concerned? And so we need to get a positive result. But we know what's going to happen. On Saturday and every other Saturday, there'll be results that everyone will raise an eyebrow at, as we did last weekend. Who would have thought on Tuesday night, when I go into the boardroom at Posh half time, and Portsmouth are 3-0 up away at Barnsley? It's so these things happen, but we're relying the troops in there. The troops will go into battle. We've got every confidence in them. We're playing really well. We played really well against Charlton, certainly for the first 60 minutes, really well against Carlisle, should have been out of sight, really well against Portsmouth, should have won the game, brilliant away at Leyton Orient. So the boys are in good form, and the nice thing from our point of view is that we've got good competition coming back to help us in terms of making sure that those boys deserve the shirts.
I just want to finish on talking about, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, but Finlay Burns in the centre of midfield, that sort of defensive midfield role. Was that something you had in mind when you signed him, or was it when you've seen him you thought, hang on a minute, he can do that?
No, I didn't have any doubts he could do it. When I was going back to my time at Gillingham, well, a lot of my time at Gillingham was very good, brilliant supporters. Only one problem at Gillingham, but I've said that before. But we signed a young man called Alfie Jones that a lot of Stevenage fans wouldn't know who Alfie is, but we signed him on loan, very similar situation. And he came out of Southampton, and he came up, and I watched him enough times in the 23s to say I've got a role, a development role, if you like, to play you slightly further forward. And Alfie came into that Gillingham side and was stunning. He then got himself a move to Hull. He's dropped back at Hull. He's now playing central defensively because he's more experienced. He's physically stronger. He's more adept. And I see Finlay as obviously he's much younger than the big fella, but I see Finlay as a very young Alfie, but probably got a little bit more in the tank than what Alfie did, although he's having a wonderful career, and more importantly, he's a wonderful lad. I still speak to him.
And I mean, Finley, did he have to speak to Man City to say, I'm going to throw him in here? Or are they happy with that? How does that work?
No, they put the development in the eyes of the club that's taking. Obviously, you share some visions and some plans. We will play Finley Burns at centre back in some occasions this season going forward. If not a lot of occasions, we will. He stepped further forward to us when we sat there and said, right, who can do that role for us at this time, given the injury situation we had. We had a lot of players out. So we moved him further forward, and we'd worked on it in the training ground. He looked really good in the training ground in that position. And he's like duck to water, isn't he? So Finley will have a good career, you know, Manchester City or otherwise, he'll have a good career. The wonderful thing is when you can sign a very good centre back who can play in centre mid. We're fortunate here. We have Dan Sweeney that can do that. We have Nathan Thompson that can do that. We have Van Kooten who's good as anyone at it, and we have Finley that can do it. So that flexibility when you're on with the small squad that we've got is absolutely key as the season goes forward. But Finley is, you know, keeping his feet on the floor, because if he tries to lift his feet, he'll get a tug from me. And but he's a really charming young man. You know, he's a real good professional. He's in early, he's late, and he deserves any success that comes to him. Just keep level-headed, keep humble, keep working hard, Finley. But that's a message to all of us.